Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how to find an equation, in this particular video, a quadratic equation that produced these two answers. And what we're going to do is we're going to take these two answers and then work backwards and figure out what the equation was that produced those. Okay? Remember that quadratic equations are parabolas, right? So essentially what I'm saying is there was a parabola that produced x equals 3 and x is equal to negative 4. Now this parabola could have gone this way, right? Or it could have gone this way. It really doesn't make any difference because I just want to try to find one possible equation that produced these two roots. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So, okay, let's take those two numbers, x equals 3 and x is equal to negative 4. Now the trick to this one is to think backwards, right? The math is really good about doing those kinds of things, like, addition and subtraction are like opposites of each other, or backwards if you want from each other. This is kind of that same kind of idea. So what was the step before this step here where you said x is equal to 3 when you were actually solving for a quadratic equation? It probably looks something like this. X minus 3, right? And then you said what's going to make, and then this one here, let me just finish this off, is x plus 4, and then we said that would be equal to 0 because we're looking for the x-intercepts. If we were at that stage in our solution, we would say, oh, if I'm going to use the zero product rule, remember that? The zero product rule says that whenever you multiply something by 0, you'll produce 0. So what's going to make this quantity equal to 0? And it would be 3. What's going to make this quantity equal to 0? So it would be negative 4. Once you figure that out, really it's just a matter of, you pretty much got the answer. It's just a matter of foiling this and you've got it. So let's go ahead and FOIL this, or multiply it out. And you get x squared outside plus 4x inside minus 3x, two last ones, minus 12 is equal to 0. Add your like terms, and you get x squared plus x minus 12 is equal to 0. And that is your quadratic equation, or one of the quadratic equations that produced those two solutions. Okay? Let me give you another example, because these get a little bit tricky, just only in trying to figure out how to write them all out. Okay? So let me just try another one. If I said to you, let's find the equation or an equation that produced x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 6. Okay, how would I break that apart? Well, I know that x would be equal to plus the square root of 6, and x is equal to the negative square root of 6. Now the step right before that would have been x minus the square root of 6, right? And then x plus the square root of 6 equals to 0. Again, remember, this is all based on using that zero property rule, all right? That might go off the page there, sorry about that. And then you just ask yourself again, what's going to make this quantity equal to 0? So this whole thing becomes true, and then it would be that. What's going to make this whole quantity equal to 0? So it would be that. Now we have to go ahead and multiply these two together, or FOIL it. So I'll come up with x squared plus x radical 6 minus x radical 6. You'll see that those two will cancel, and then finally negative times a positive gives me minus radical 36, which I know I can simplify to minus the quantity 6. And I'll just bring that down. So here's my quadratic equation that produced those 2 points. Now, think about this for just a second. What kind of a parabola is this? Okay. This would be a parabola that didn't cross down, that crossed down here at radical 6 and here at radical 6, but the vertex on this particular one is right at -6. It'd be like right down the middle. Okay? Now, one last one, and then we'll be done with this. How about if I have a solution that says that x is equal to 5? You can also kind of predict immediately what kind of a parabola this will be, right? It's going to be a parabola, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that touches down only one time. All right, let's see if we can make that happen. So, x minus 5, x minus 5 is equal to 0. Now notice what I had to do here. I had to actually do this twice. Now why did I have to do that? I had to do it twice because remember I'm trying to find the quadratic, and the important point about a quadratic is that it's an x squared, or it's some quantity squared. That's the clue. This is called, again, a quadratic term, and it's called that because of the square. So go ahead and FOIL this out, and you'll get x squared minus 5x plus 25 is equal to 0. And the equation therefore becomes x squared minus 10x plus 25 is equal to 0. And again, if you were to work this backwards, clearly you would just find that, and there's the kind of parabola you'd produce. Okay? I hope that was helpful to you.